Okay, hey guys, welcome in to the Teal Shirt Report podcast. Pretty good digs in the background. We're kind of on the road right now doing the podcast. Hope you guys are doing well. Coffee's good this morning. Javalier Dark Roast. That's the only one. That is the only one I would ever. That is the only one I would ever buy from Javalier. Would be their dark roast. Nothing against them. I promise you, they're not an advertiser. But when they put it on sale, 10.99, buy one get one at a certain grocery store I go to, and you probably know the one. That's a good deal. But there's different coffees on sale almost every week or every other week, so you have to buy them when they're on sale. That's my advice to you. Teal Shirt Report podcast is obviously brought to you by, you see on the ticker, brought to you by Salsa Realty and Capital for your real estate needs in North Florida. Larry was supposed to get up with me this past week for lunch. I think the lunch is still coming eventually. Want to thank MadMaxMix.weebly.com and Max's Wednesday night request show. Hopefully another interview is coming in the next show, Max. JC had a great live show from the pub on Thursday nights. I listen to Max's and JC's show most every week. And JC had a real good show this past Thursday. Max has a good show every Wednesday. And they both have outstanding shows. MadMaxMix.weebly.com. And JC's show is on the very next night on Thursday night at LakeUpallahits.com. Great internet radio where it's all good. Now, you go to bigjreport.com, you'll find links for these shows. Also, Salsa Realty and Capital for your real estate needs, whether it's home, residential, business. Business, as my dad used to say, business. We're going to do business. And you'll find Salsa Realty and Capital on the homepage near the weather reports for whether it's home, residential, business, or commercial real estate. MadMaxMix.weebly.com. Love Max's show. Max had a very serious surgery. It's probably been a couple of months ago now. He had a rest after the surgery for maybe a month, and now he's back at it. Max sounds great at MadMaxMix.weebly.com. On Wednesday nights, 6 o'clock till 8 o'clock Central Time, 7 o'clock till 9 o'clock Eastern Time for the MadMaxMix.weebly.com. If you're watching on YouTube, well, you'll see the ticker and the link. And, man, I really like my location now. I'm not really a piano player, but it's nice to be near one. Hope you guys are doing well. The Icemen had a great season. Over 40 wins, only over 20-something losses. I mean, that's great in anybody's book. But they lost the darn game one playoff game in overtime 3-2 to a team. I'm not going to call them the Florida Everblades. I'm going to call them the South Florida Everblades. They are a huge rival, and a lot of times they're a stumbling block for the Icemen in the playoffs. They got to get by the Everblades. This is a first-round playoff series in the East Coast Hockey League. It's April 19th, so the Icemen lost game one on Friday night, April the 18th, 3-2 in overtime. And I believe that game was actually played on the road in South Florida. I believe game two is down there too. Got to steal a game down in South Florida before the series resumes and goes up to North Florida for game three. Here in God's country in North Florida. We got listeners all over the state of Florida, though, so I got to be kind. You guys in South Florida, I love you too. We typically are, with bigjreport.com, our coverage area is kind of North Florida, South Georgia, that pocket of southeast Alabama, and we got Barry at our Facebook group now. So now we're kind of stretching up into parts of the Carolinas now. So we're kind of, bigjreport.com is based in Jacksonville, Florida, and we mainly concentrate on North Florida happenings. But man, there's a lot of stuff going on, and we got a lot of people tuning in for the podcast. I was amazed at the audio version, JC. I know you don't like to hear a lot about the audio version as my executive producer, but we're still hanging with it. And I told John Gaylor the stats, and I said, John, can you believe this? We're now well over 11,000 listens, 11,393 listens, 33 plays per episode on the audio. And the audience size now is 218 overall. That's on the audio side. But YouTube, if you follow YouTube, and I haven't said much about the stats on YouTube, but yeah, we're gradually, and YouTube will overtake the audio platforms. The YouTube material is the most up to date and the newest material. And then we put it on the obviously the audio versions, and it's kind of cool because there's a lot of YouTube videos of the Teal Shirt Report podcast up there and out there. So you go back and you can access all this at our website at bigjreport.com. We've got some new happenings. The FSU incident was terrible. 2 killed, 5 wounded. We mention it in our website, and it's of a very serious note. Another, even when it's still considered a mass shooting. Thank God it was, and we never want to hear about people getting killed or dying in these events, but it probably could have been a lot worse. And saying it that way really makes you think. I mean, all this stuff got going at Columbine years ago, and even many, many years before that, these type things were just so isolated. It never happened. Things at times have changed. I remember when I was a kid, there was an event at Kent State. Then there was Columbine, and now these things happen, sadly, much more frequently. And why do they happen? I don't want to really go off on these events. They're sad, they're tragic. People lose their lives, people lose their loved ones, people get injured where their injuries last them the rest of their life in a lot of cases. The FSU incident in Tallahassee was terrible. And it was senseless also. So that's my thought on that. BigJReport.com, the website. I did write a little something up on it. On a happier note, there's an Easter egg hunt at the beach today on Saturday morning, April the 19th. I think it's near Penman Road somewhere, but that's on the website too. Check out the website, BigJReport.com. Easter egg hunt will be held later this morning, so it'll come and go pretty quick. Happy Easter to everyone. I want to thank God for, my close friends and close family. Happy Easter to all of you, and to everyone who watches this podcast. And I know I don't know everybody that watches, but I thank you. Please subscribe to our channel. I can do a thumbs up. Man, that's a cool piano back there, man. And kind of cozy in here. It's not cold enough to put a fire in the fireplace, but a kind of cozy atmosphere in here this morning on the Teal Shirt Report podcast, episode show number 19. Number 19, all of a sudden it jumped in my head about the song, number 19. Not number 9, not that one. Paul Hardcastle did a song called 19. JC, you can play it on your show. Please play it on your show. It was a huge hit back in the day. Paul Hardcastle's more of a jazz guy, more jazzy than even Steely Dan, because most of his stuff is, for the most part, strictly instrumental. But there's a few words in the number 19 song by Paul Hardcastle. So in episode show number 19, you got to mention Johnny Unitas with the Baltimore Colts, great quarterback. And for our semi-pro football watchers and viewers, and we have a few of those, and I followed and we've covered semi-pro football as well. on this particular podcast. Go back, listen to the old audio platforms. We got interviews with Zach Brown, who's still bouncing around the league. Well, he's at Arena Football, played with the Jacksonville Sharks, Carolina Cobras. He's been everywhere. Columbus, Georgia Lions. Sadly, I think Zach got released 2 or 3 weeks ago. Then they signed him back. Maybe they had to fit him under the salary cap or something. I don't know. Zach Brown seems to be happy playing football. I think Zach Brown one day would make a great high school football coach. And I meant to tell Zach that in a private, because I think he's coached youth football, but I think he'd be a great high school football coach. Zach Brown, who's originally from Tipton, Georgia. Where's number 44, I should say, 44. And he is one of those guys that fits like a glove in the arena or indoor game because of his size. He can play linebacker, fullback, but he's been playing for a number of years. And I think Zach, he had a birthday the other day. He's like 34 or 35. He's been playing the arena indoor game for a long time. Jacksonville Sharks for a few years, Carolina Cobras, now the Columbus, Georgia Lions. He played for, I can't remember the name of the team in Texas Zach Brown played for, but he briefly played for an indoor team or arena team in Texas. Zach Brown, good guy. And I know many other indoor arena and semi-pro football players. David Martin, a semi-pro football insider for us. I won't say Champ Summers, JC, but I guess I did. Champ Samuels, he won an EAFL title with the Georgia Cobras. Now he's playing for Port City in another league, the APDFL league. So I know a lot of these guys. I really do. Enrique Crumbs. I always fumble his last name. Enrique Crumbs, great friend of mine on Facebook. He's played for the Southern Steam. I think he's playing for a team called the River Gators now in indoor football. It's hard to keep up with all these guys, man. I'm going to tell you something right now. These guys play for the love of the game. Even though Zach Brown probably makes a little more money than the semi-pro football guys do because he's been playing in really some major indoor football leagues. But all these guys play absolutely for the love of the game. We're brought to you by Salsa Realty and Capital, the MadMaxMix.weebly.com, and Lake Eufaula Hits. It's on the ticker. And eventually this broadcast or podcast will end up on the audio version where I'm thrilled of the stats. I do know YouTube will obviously surpass anything we're doing on audio, strictly audio. But if you guys would, do me a favor, give us a thumbs up. You see that, JC? Give us another one. I think you gave us one last time. Give us a thumbs up. If you have not already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. I know some people may not have an account with YouTube, and I think you have to have an account with YouTube to be able to subscribe, but please do. And a lot of times if I see someone subscribing and they've got a channel, we'll go with subscribe, to their channel. John Gaylor and I got into some interesting talks. Episode show number 19. Johnny Unitas. Paul Hardcastle, the song number 19 is what I was trying to allude to. John Gaylor and I had really an interesting conversation, and I know he doesn't know I'm going to always publicize this on the podcast, but we were talking, we've talked about Patrick McCary, a free agent guy, and I hope he turns out to be really a good offensive lineman. He can play almost every position across the offensive line, but he's a free agent pickup. He did play 17 games in 2024 with the Baltimore Ravens. So they probably hated losing him. But he'll come to the Jaguars and he'll either step up and become that everyday player and reach a higher pinnacle with his career. And he'll start. I think he's slated to start at right guard. So we'll see what happens. Let's see. Gaylor and I had an interesting conversation this morning, but we talked about a lot of things. I told John about our audio stats. He said, no, I'm not surprised. We have a strong group that Loves the content and discussion. I thank all the new people joining and diehard sports fans. Appreciate your content. Well, I appreciate that. And I said, thank you, John. John is a contributor and correspondent with the Teal Shirt Report podcast. I told him I think YouTube will outdistance the audio portion as time goes on, but I like us on both so far. So I asked Mr. Gaylor, I said, where do you see the pick going at number 5 for the Jaguars? The Jags have a lot of picks early in this draft. Our executive producer, JC, knows that. You can't screw it up. The draft could be a crapshoot, though, as you know. We talked about Membu. Maybe Membu, the guard that can play tackle also. I think he's actually a tackle in college, but he's projected to be a guard in the NFL, so it means he probably can play both positions. I told Gaylor that Membu may be gaining traction at number 5. I know the Patriots were mentioned with Membu, and they've got a pick at number 4. And I told Gaylor it always keeps, before the draft, all these, these mock drafts come out, and Membu may be gaining traction at number 5 now. It always keeps changing before the draft, of course, John, as I told John Gaylor. And I told him, I said, I'm probably okay with Membu, Will Campbell, or even the defensive tackle from Michigan at number 5. The question is always a crapshoot. The crapshoot part, who will be the best player, like the Eagles song, the long run. Who will be the best player of those 3 I mentioned in the long run? The defensive tackle out of Michigan, who has great film, loved his film. Will Campbell really could be a great left tackle and an all-pro, and I think that's what the Jaguars need. Membu, a tackle, can probably play tackle or guard. I think some people have him projected to play guard in the NFL. But again, the question of those 3 players, it's always a crapshoot. Who will be the best? This is the answer. Who will be the best in the long run for the Jaguars or whichever team drafts a particular player? Gaylor said, we will find out early how confident the Jags are with the current construction of the offensive line. If they go Campbell at 5, he's a starting left tackle. Little and Ezra Cleveland will battle it out at the left guard position. Some of what Gaylor's saying. I said, hey, I did ask John about number 19. I don't think he answered that one, but he did say if Membo is the pick for the Jaguars, he's the right tackle. Harrison moves to left tackle, and Little and/or Cleveland battle for the left guard spot. So those are interesting comments by John Gaylor. Again, the Icemen lose the first game of the playoffs. The Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp are off to an amazing start. They're way over 500, winning a lot of games. Swept a doubleheader recently over Charlotte. We'll update you on the Shrimp too. They're like 13-5 or something like that now. 13-5, 13-6. But we'll check on them as time goes on in this podcast. However, the Jumbo Shrimp are winning when they're at home at the ballpark. It's now the ViStar ballpark, downtown Jacksonville. Check them out. That's great entertainment. The Iceman and the Jumbo Shrimp. These are events that you can go to probably for $20, $25 or less, and can take the family too. I know they both have great concessions as well. The Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, check them out. AAA baseball. And the hockey league the Icemen are in is very good. I'm going to say it's upper AA baseball. There's really only one league higher in hockey, the AHL, which is probably more AAA hockey before you get to the NHL. I don't have a team in the NHL anymore after the Flames moved from Atlanta to Calgary and the Thrashers moved from Atlanta to Winnipeg. I am all in as my favorite hockey team, the Jacksonville Icemen. Mark it down. So we'll go to this. When I was a kid, I used to read the sporting news. It used to come in a newspaper form. Then it went to, like a magazine. And then when I got into radio, lo and behold, we were at one time when ran the station at Western Georgia for a while. We were actually a Sporting News radio affiliate, One-on-One Sports. They later became Sporting News Radio. That's where I became acquainted with Rick Ballou, who worked for Sporting News Radio. So Ashton Jeanty, who was born in Jacksonville, Florida, somebody said, hey, what do you think about Jeanty going to the Jaguars? I really don't think it's what the Jags need. I mean, it's a great story. There's a 7-round mock draft by, I believe this is Sporting News. It has Jeanty going to the Raiders, Jackson Dart, the Ole Miss quarterback, to the Steelers. And let's pull it up here. Boy, Tomlin, he's always talked about it, isn't he? The Steelers. Man, he's been a long-time coach there. Tennessee Titans, it's still Cam Ward, quarterback out of Miami, 6'2", 219 pounds. Titans are getting more locked into taking their next franchise quarterback. What about Will Levis, the man that puts mayonnaise in his coffee? I guess they've given up on him, right? He'll probably end up, if they draft Cam Ward, he's probably, Will Levis is probably on the way to another team at some point in time, and he may become a backup in the NFL. But injuries happen. I'm assuming Levis will still be on the roster with the Titans in 2025, like he was in 2024. He's still a young player on a rookie deal, right? So, JC, our executive producer, let's just run down. This is actually, this is the Sporting News. They're still around, JC, the Sporting News. They're more on an internet. Maybe they're more internet Sporting News now. NFL mock draft round 1. Cam Ward, quarterback out of Miami, about 6'2", 219 pounds. Titans getting more locked into taking their franchise QB. They got Calvin Ridley, right? Still. God, he's way overpaid, I think. Cleveland Browns at number 2, taking a quarterback, Shadir Sanders, quarterback at Colorado. I think they've got it right, though. Cam Ward, I think he's better than Shadir. And I don't think both of these guys will make it as stars in the NFL. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. I think one of these guys will, and I probably lean on Cam Ward because of the way he moves, the way he handles the passing game. But keep in mind, the NFL draft is a crapshoot. It really is. It's a crapshoot. And the speed of the game, when these guys hit training camp, they hit even the preseason games. Boy, I don't like to talk about preseason since last year, since the Jags went undefeated in the preseason and then 4-13 in the regular season. So you got Cam Ward in the Sporting News draft going to the Titans at 1, Shadir Sanders, the Colorado quarterback, going to Cleveland at 2, New York Giants taking this guy won the Heisman Trophy, right? Travis Hunter. He's a cornerback / wide receiver. Is he the next Deion Sanders? Well, time will tell. The Giants will be prepared to consider a quarterback, according to this mock draft from Sporting News Radio. It added Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson. Is right? They got both those guys? Wow. So Travis Hunter, they need a target for one of those guys, whoever plays, whoever's not injured, whoever's playing better. I mean, Winston and Russell Wilson, for the Giants, one of those guys may be their starter. Okay, the New England Patriots pick has changed, according to Sporting News Radio. We've seen Mimbu at number 4 to the Patriots in many a mock draft, including Yahoo's mock draft. However, this one, we're looking at Sporting News Radio, or just the Sporting News in general. I'm used to saying Sporting News Radio. We were an affiliate up in Western Georgia for a while with Sporting News Radio, as the coffee boy knows. And I'm going to tell you right now, oh, man, that coffee's good, coffee boy, man. But I like your opinions too. I like the coffee and the opinions. I showed JC I showed him the draft positions. The Jaguars got 10 picks, and they got a lot of picks early. JC said they got no excuses. Our executive producer says the Jaguars have no excuses this time. And I would agree with this standpoint. The Jags have a chance to get the offensive line right. And I don't necessarily trust the free agents. I know they got a center in free agency from the Buccaneers that didn't start last year but started the year before, and he may have a future. Patrick McCary can play all the positions across the offensive line, and I think he played in all 17 of the Baltimore Ravens games in 2024. And he may be, slotted to play right guard. We heard some of what our contributor correspondent John Gaylor thinks. And John has some good opinions. And, why not make this offensive line solid? Concentrate on the offensive line as the Jags have in free agency. And we need 2 picks, 2 upper picks, 2 high picks, a tackle and a guard. Then we go defensive tackle, my opinion. And then we're going to look at, the Andre Cisco is no longer with the team. He bolted and now he's up in the New York area with another team. So you're going to need a safety. But now it's time for the younger guys like AJ, Antonio Johnson, to step up. I think he's moving into his 3rd year. I like the picks the Jags have made in the defensive backfield. I like some of I'm going to say it. I like some of Balky's picks. The late round picks. Time will tell. The Florida State cornerback the Jags got in the 3rd round, he's always around the ball. Some of these guys might not be the most talented, or they were projected to be, first rounders. They were not. But I like the effort. If our first rounders gave the effort that the later picks did, we'd be in good shape. And I think the new defensive coordinator knows he's got to get more effort out of these 3 first rounders. The Devin Lloyds, I mean, if they want to continue their NFL career, Devin Lloyd and even Trayvon Walker, who now has been given the 5th-year option, but not a new contract. Josh Allen has been given a new contract, but his production went way down, and he didn't even play in the last game. These guys on defense got something to prove. You can move some of these guys inside. You don't necessarily have to draft the guy out of Michigan, but man, if they drafted him, he would go in there and he might elevate, because what he can do and how high he's picked, he could elevate some of the other players' games around him, perhaps, because there could be a little jealousy involved. This is the Teal Shirt Report podcast. Let's get back into the mock draft a little bit here. Okay. Well, I was in the mock draft. Here we go. Okay. Travis Hunter, cornerback wide receiver out of Colorado, 6 foot, 188 pounds, going to the Giants, according to Sporting News. New England Patriots, now they've switched them up away from Mimbo Abdul Carter. Mimbo was actually tied into the Patriots with the Yahoo draft, the Yahoo mock draft for 2025. The draft's going to be in just a few days now. It's coming right up in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Thank goodness it's late April. They should still have some reasonably, hopefully, warm weather up in Green Bay for in and around that draft. They should, late April, all right? And the draft's coming at us fast now. It seems like in just a few days or a few hours now. Abdul Carter. I was never in favor of the Jags drafting an edge rusher now. Not now. Man, the Jags have been through some edge rushers, haven't they? Abdul Carter could be another one of those guys, edge rusher out of Penn State, 6'3", 250 pounds. And Penn State, I mean, my God, they've had linebacker U there. Edge rusher, whether he's a defensive end or an outside linebacker. Patriots pass rush was almost non-existent last season. And yes, the Patriots may need an edge rusher more than the Jaguars do. The Jaguars are paying a mint. I almost said a Fort Knox amount of money. We don't even know if the gold's still at Fort Knox, do we? According to some. But Abdul Carter could be the guy for New England, but they've been, Armand Mimbu has been mentioned in the Yahoo mock draft at number 4 to the Patriots. Okay, but the Sporting News mock draft has Abdul Carter, edge rusher out of Penn State, going to the Patriots at number 4. Our Jacksonville Jaguars at number 5 taking Armand Membu, offensive tackle out of Missouri, 6'4", 332 pounds. Jaguars have Walker Little, but Anton Harrison has had issues on the right side. He was a first-round pick, too. Think about that. Membu can be their version of Wirfs, Tristan Wirfs, according to Sporting News, starting right away with a good combination of toughness and quickness. Now, Membu could be the guy, but I know our executive producer would rather have a guy named Will Campbell out of LSU, and Campbell has fallen some. Now, here's the thing. The Jaguars, if they don't take Will Campbell, there's a 49ers at number 11. That's where Sporting News has Will Campbell slotted to go with the 49ers. Offensive tackle Will Campbell out of LSU, 6'6". Man, I love that frame. 6'6", 319 pounds. He could be the all-pro the Jags have always needed at left tackle. But what if the 49ers get him at number 11 and he becomes an all-pro? Number 10, Kelvin Banks Jr., offensive tackle, slated to go to the Chicago Bears. He's a good player, too. Mason Graham has fallen a little bit, according to Sporting News. Mason Graham, the defensive tackle out of Michigan, 6'3", 296 pounds, slated to go to the New Orleans Saints. Mason Graham, defensive tackle out of Michigan. New Orleans Saints at number 9. We're kind of going backwards now, kind of like counting down songs. Number 8, Carolina Panthers, Tetaroa McMillan, wide receiver out of Arizona. A lot of people love this guy, but, I looked at some things about him, about McMillan. It seemed like he had one really, really good game, and the competition was maybe not the best. The Carolina Panthers can think about upgrading defense anywhere in the draft, I guess. However, McMillan, he's being compared to Mike Evans. Mike Evans appeal, okay. He's 6'4", 219 pounds. Tetaroa McMillan, wide receiver out of Arizona, mocked at number 8 to the Carolina Panthers. New York Jets, Shamar Stewart, edge rusher out of Texas A&M, about 6'5", 267 pounds, at number 7 to the Jets. And the Raiders, whether they're in Oakland, Los Angeles, or now Vegas, they're still the Raiders. That's where Jacksonville, the guy, he was born in Jacksonville, Florida, Ashton Gente, running back, Boise State, 5'8", 211 pounds. Raiders seem to have fallen in love with Gente, the kid born in Jacksonville, Florida. Las Vegas Raiders at number 6. Maybe they choose Ashton Gente, running back out of Boise State, according to the Sporting News mock draft. Number 5, Armand Membu, offensive tackle at number 5 out of Missouri, 6'4", 332 pounds. Jacksonville Jaguars, Armand Membu, according to Sporting News Radio in their mock draft. Abdul Carter, edge guy out of Penn State, number 4 to the Patriots, according to Sporting News. New York Giants, Travis Hunter, cornerback wide receiver out of Colorado, about 6', 188 pounds. Shedeur Sanders, quarterback out of Colorado, 6'1", 212 pounds, going to the Cleveland Browns at number 2. Man, Cleveland has had a boatload of quarterbacks over the years, haven't they? Tennessee Titans at number 1. Cam Ward may be more ready to play in the NFL than, say, Shedeur Sanders. Just one opinion of mine. One thing that bothered me about Cam Ward is he's playing in the Pop-Tarts Bowl, and at halftime, he come out of the game. He played the first half, and that was it. I didn't like that. But Cam Ward, quarterback out of Miami, 6'2", 219 pounds, could be destined to be the number 1 pick overall in the 2025 draft by the Tennessee Titans. When is the draft? When is the draft? Draft day and time, it's going to be in Green Bay. Can you believe that? And the NFL draft gets bigger and bigger and bigger, it seems like almost every year. Let me pull up that real quick just to make sure we know. It's always around my birthday, too. I love that. Some nice birthday gifts with new players. It's actually going to come up, JC. It's going to come up. It's actually going to. My birthday will be after the draft this year. How about that? The 2025 NFL Draft will take place outside the historic Lambeau Field in Green Bay. First round is on April the 24th at 7 o'clock p.m. That'll be on a Thursday. Rounds 2 and 3 are on April 25th on the Friday, and then rounds 4 through 7 are on April the 26th of 2025. And the NFL Draft, the 2025 NFL Draft in late April will take place outside the historic Lambeau Field in Green Bay. So we gave you a mock draft. We run through the top 11, I believe. So that's going to do it this go round. The Teal Shirt Report podcast episode show number 19. Number 19. I'm going to talk about 19. 19. Paul Hardcastle did a song called 19. You listen to it, you'll know what it's about. I promise you. Number 19, Johnny Unitas broke a lot of records for the Colts. And JC, if you didn't know it, Johnny Unitas started out in semi-pro football. That's why I got talking about semi-pro football. But he wore 19 with the Baltimore Colts. That's going to do it for the Teal Shirt Report podcast. We've been eloquently produced by our executive producer, JC, also brought the coffee to us. Thank you so much, Brother JC. John Gaylor, our correspondent, and our contributor correspondent to the podcast at bigjreport.com, John Gaylor, and another producer, Alex Nunnery. Alex also runs there's a little chat we have with Big J Report Facebook group. Alex runs that as well. That's going to do it for the Teal Shirt Report podcast. I'm doing better than I should, man. Look at the digs in the background. Man, I'm kind of on the road with the Teal Shirt Report podcast. You guys have a great day. And, man, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Come on now, give us a thumbs up. This was a decent podcast. We'll say decent. But I need subscribers. We're going to get more subscribers. We still got to do those interviews. I owe you guys a lot of interviews, and they're coming eventually. I promise you. This has been the Teal Shirt Report podcast, episode show number 19. You guys have a great day. And by the way, JC, I'm looking for Elvis Costello. We're going to try to do an interview with him one day. The English musician. We're still looking for him, JC. But we did interviews years ago with Pete Rose, Bill Necro. Who else did we interview? Ted Turner, among some of the greats. We really interviewed when they brought cable TV to Jacksonville, like in the early 1980s. I interviewed Ted Turner when cable TV first came to Jacksonville. WGN, the Cubs, TBS, the Braves, when cable TV first came to Jacksonville. But we also interviewed Pete Rose up in Atlanta when he was playing with the Philadelphia Phillies. We interviewed Phil Necro. And then we've interviewed semi-pro football guys. I interviewed some golf players a while back. Always enjoyed doing the interviews, and we'll do more. Jim McFather, high school football coach at Randolph Clay High School. Man, I interviewed him countless times. Also, John Williams, another football coach at Randolph Clay. You guys have a great day. There's so many people we interviewed, and there's a lot of famous guys. So thank you guys for tuning into the Teal Shirt Report podcast. I've spent well over 25 years in terrestrial radio. Now we do this thing called a podcast. And we do bigjreport.com, as you know. I'm your host for the Teal Shirt Report podcast. My name is Scott. Hey, you guys have a great day. Follow us at bigjreport.com on the website, and we have a Facebook group too. You guys have a great day. Thank you for watching and listening to the Teal Shirt Report podcast, episode show number 19 from bigjreport.com. Hey, have a great day. Okay?